So we're here at the Red Pill Expo in Bozeman, Montana, and we're with Sherry Jackson, who used to work for the IRS. Sherry, would you tell us, what you discovered while working at the IRS and what happened after that?
When I was at the IRS, I thought I was doing my great duty to help the country. It was when I left the IRS. I left the IRS for family reasons. I'm a hardline Christian, and the IRS was taking more of my time away from my family. I think that people were afraid to approach me when I was an IRS agent. But after I left, they were approaching me. And people from all walks of life were coming to tell me, hey, I heard that the income tax doesn't apply to us, or it's a fraud. And that's when I started saying, okay, there's an elephant in the room, and it's big. After that, We the People Foundation for Constitutional Education put full-page ads out in the USA Today. Someone informed me about one of those ads, and it said, Dear we the People, the income tax is a fraud. I'm like, wow, they put this in the USA Today? I read the article, and there were two things that struck me in that article. Number one, it was a $50,000 challenge by William Conklin for anybody to show that people that live and work in the 50 states have to pay. But the other thing was a former IRS Criminal Investigation Division agent, Joe Bannister, had written a book. And I ordered Joe's book. And it was basically his methodical research over 2.5 years about the income tax, because he had heard from D.V. Kidd that it was a fraud. And she said to him, you need to go do the research. And he did. So those two things, along with the fact that, bless his heart, the late, great Irwin Schiff, someone gave me his little yellow book called How Anyone Can Stop Paying Income Taxes. So with all of that ammunition, and also with the IRS codes and regulations in my office, I started doing the research. And really 2 weeks later, then 2 months later, I was at the point where, you know what, I can't say these people are wrong. The straw that really broke the camel's back concerning my speaking out about the IRS wasn't the IRS. It was the fact that I found out that the Federal Reserve is not federal. It's a non-auditable private banking cartel collecting millions of dollars an hour in interest from the American people. So my Spock logic kicked in. I'm a Trekkie. Okay, so when I write these $10,000 checks to the IRS, it's not going to fix the roads because the gas tax pays for that. It's not going towards paying the policemen, the firemen, and the teachers because my real estate taxes and car tag taxes pay for that. It's going for the private bank owners, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, all those people's children's children to never have to work a day in their life. And that just clicked right there. I will not work for somebody else's unborn children to live in luxury while I'm a slave. That's when I also discovered that it's not just black folks that were slaves. Everybody's a slave now. It doesn't matter. So I realized that they try to use color and religion and all that stuff against us. And they have us bickering and fighting over all this stuff. And they're looking down at us laughing while they close us in a corral. And I know you've heard the term sheeple. I don't want to be a sheeple. Right. But all of us are sheeple if we don't do something about it.
That's right. You ended up in jail. Would you tell us a little bit about how that happened? What did they charge you with? What was it like? I mean, did they treat you okay? Just what's the story?
Okay, so you see I'm animated, right? Me, Joe Bannister, and some others were going around the country not telling people what to do, but telling people what we learned. One of the things that I used to always say at a workshop was, I'm not telling you to file or not to file. I'm not telling you to pay or not to pay. I'm just telling you to do your research, do your own due diligence, and decide whether you want to be a slave or get off the plantation. They didn't like that. So next after that, they came and raided my home. They were at my home from 7:45 in the morning to 5 o'clock trying to find, it was a secret search warrant, and the search warrant said they were going to find 5 felonies in my house. Well, we were homeschooling, parents, and it was summer, and they just took 32 boxes and left. This was 2004. 2006, Aaron Russo came along, the director of Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and The Rose with Bette Midler, said, hey, I'm doing a movie, a documentary, and it's called America, Freedom to Fascism, and I want to talk about the IRS. So me along with Joe Bannister, John Turner, Ed Griffin, Ron Paul, a lot of constitutional attorneys and historians, we did this documentary. They really got mad about that. So this was 2006. 2007, they come along with charges against me. Now, it wasn't an indictment because an indictment refers to a felony. But these were misdemeanor charges because they never did find any felonies in my house. So that's an information. So basically, they charged me with willful failure to file tax returns because I was practicing what I preached. I was keeping my own money because I'm not liable. What they did was beef up a jury and basically tell them I made a lot of money. And people have, people have been brainwashed with a whole lot of things. Specifically, there's nothing sure in life but
Death and taxes.
Everybody knows that. Even the young folks know that. But you know, that was a campaign. That was a marketing campaign put together by some Rockefellers. Had a marketing guy come in and do stuff like that. So we would be brainwashed to think that we had to pay taxes, and that's what happened. So they charged me with that. I didn't get a chance to present my case. She wouldn't let me show my video. She wouldn't let me talk about the law at all. Okay, so I was sentenced. Check this out. A 4-year sentence on a misdemeanor. 4 years on a misdemeanor. And at the sentencing hearing, this is what the judge said, and I'm going to say it in her voice, if you allow me.
Absolutely.
I know you homeschool your children, Miss Jackson, and I know you got a lot of family support, but you just can't run around the country telling people not to file tax returns. It wasn't about the fact that I kept my own money. It was the fact that I was out there with 9 letters behind my name telling people what I learned, and that was a danger. You got rappers around here rapping on songs about killing police and saying derogatory things about women, and they're being caught in, you know, gunfights and going to jail for a couple of days and then getting out and getting slapped on the hand. That's okay. It's okay. But if you are somebody that is sincere about letting the American people know that they are being defrauded, that's a danger to them. So I spent 3 years of a 4-year sentence in a federal prison camp. It was very interesting. I went in there. I had to set the standard. I had been a Christian for 22 years. I had been talking the talk. It was time to walk the walk. So I got in there and just tried to make a difference because I knew that God is in control. He wanted me there, or I wouldn't have been there. So I spent my 3 years there. I came out swinging. Got my master's degree, start writing books. I'm in a doctoral program right now, and I'm still out there telling people because it's the truth. And what I always say is truth for everybody, or it's not true at all. Just because 12 jurors were afraid or uninformed about the income tax doesn't mean that it's what I was saying is not true. And so many young people are coming to me now saying, you know what? I don't want to get trapped in this system. I know I'm not going to get Social Security. They're taking $300 every pay period out for Social Security that I'm never going to get, plus the income tax, plus the state tax. I don't want to do this. So now I'm telling them this is what you do. You got to be like the president. Be like Donald Trump. Get a business. You can write off everything but the kitchen sink. And so I teach people that now. My time in prison was not in vain. I taught people, and it got the word out that all of us Americans, wherever you come from, whatever your racial background or makeup, are slaves to a system that is unfair and tyrannical. And what we have to do is we have to make sure for ourselves and our families that we do what we feel is right. It may not be for somebody else to go and try to chop the devil's head off. You know, that was my fight. But there's something that everybody can do to make sure that this country doesn't go to, you know, in a handbasket. And what I also say is I believe that pretty soon the excrement is going to hit the portable cooling device in this country, and you got to be ready. So it's not about, you got to turn off the TV, which I call the electronic income reducer. You got to turn off the TV and start paying attention to what's really going on. And I'm passionate about that. I'm animate about that. And those who don't pay attention are going to be swept away in the crap.
Sherry, God bless you. Thank you so much for that. Where can people learn more about you, about your books, about what you're up to? Do you have a website?
I do. My main website is spjacksonconsulting.com. And that's where a lot of information about where I'm going to be and whatnot. Also, Facebook and YouTube. When I get ready to go to a city and do my workshop called The Elimination of Taxation and Debt Accumulation Frustration, it's on YouTube and it's on my Facebook because that's the only way I know how to get the word out there. I have a blog site that I post to every once in a while. I'm going to try to get better. I'm kind of technologically challenged. But it's sherrypeeljackson.org. So they can get in touch with me at sherrypeeljackson.org or spjacksonconsulting.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sherry.